Alright, welcome back to Writing Creative Nonfiction in English. I'm Harry, I'm your teacher. So since we're doing these videos, I'm going to break up the videos into little parts rather than doing everything at once. So today we're going to talk about structure and taking notes. So structure is something that is really malleable, meaning you can do it any way you want, but depending on how weird or different the thing that you're writing is, you're going to want to have more structure. So if you're writing about something that's very unknown or not clear to your audience, you want to have a really strong structure so that an audience that doesn't know anything about your subject can then understand. The way the structure helps is that by having a beginning, a middle, and an end, or having very clear introductions to your paragraphs, you give the readers signals that they've already learned in their lives how to interpret. So people expect an introduction to, give general information, introduce the subject, not be too complicated and to be interesting. Of course, you can change that around if you want, but readers who read a lot especially are already used to these kinds of things, and it really just helps to create a world that you're writing about for people to understand. We're also going to be talking about taking notes. Some of the ideas I have for taking notes involve working in the field, that is, going somewhere, talking to people, describing something, having an experience where you know that you're going to write about it later. So you can intentionally use certain strategies to organize your notes and take them so that they can help you later. Also about the notes, it's not a bad idea to always take notes if you're doing something that you think is interesting, because you might need to have these notes later. So I personally always keep, I have a note-taking program called Google Keep. I always have it on my phone. Anytime I see something interesting or I have a thought just about whatever I'm experiencing, something interesting, somebody says, some idea that I have, I write it down. And the vast majority of those notes don't ever see the light of day. I don't look at them over again. I just don't use them, but you never know when you're going to have one. It's also easier to remember things if you write them down. Alright, so we're going to talk first about structure. So, or rather, structure is the general topic for today. First there are outlines, which we'll talk about in a minute, and transitions. Alright, so outlines and transitions, and then we're going to talk about taking notes, which is going to include shorthand, index cards, and smartphones. So generally, outlines is a written structure of something that you use as a scheme or a scaffold about what you're going to write. Transition is what happens in between different sections. For example, in between different ideas on your outline. And then we're going to talk about taking notes. I'll explain what shorthand is, how you can use index cards, and how you can use smartphones to do this. I mentioned about the smartphones already. So the next video we'll be talking more about this.